Hello grade 8s, and welcome to Geometry 4. In this micro lesson, we are going to learn about congruence, a concept that defines things that are exactly the same. We're also going to be able to understand diagrams that use symbols to show that something is congruent. Congruence, in its definition, is very similar to our understanding of equality, or something being equal. But in mathematics, it's used in geometry to describe something that is exactly the same. And in grade 8 and 9 and 10, it's usually going to refer to angles that are exactly the same, and sides of shapes that are exactly the same. The symbol for congruence can be remembered as like a super equal sign, showing that something is absolutely exact. So like an equal sign with an extra line on it, and it can be written in a variety of ways. For example, in the next few lessons, we're going to learn about congruent triangles. And this would be a way to say the triangle ABC is congruent or exactly the same as triangle DEF. We can also show congruence as a label on a shape. If we look here, we have triangle ABC. And if our diagram had some lines that looked like this, it shows us that AC is congruent to AB. Let's try to break that down again in case we don't remember from primary school. AC is this side of the triangle, and we're saying because of these symbols, AC is the same as AB. And we write AC because it's a line in the triangle or a side of the triangle with a line over the top. We show that it's congruent to the line or side AB. If we want to show angles are congruent, we just go to the angles that are the same, and we make a little curved sign, and it shows that the angles are the same. And we haven't talked much about South African notation for angles, but for example, we could call angle C and label it angle C by putting a pointy part, or a vertex, showing that that is the peak or the vertex of the angle. And in this case, we could say that angle C is going to be congruent to angle B. Again, this symbol shows us that it's an angle. To recap, if we want to label a side of a triangle, we use the letter that starts and the letter that finishes that side with a line to show that it's a side. The congruency symbol is like a super equal sign with 3 lines. If we want to show angles, we show them with little hats. It's like Sutu hats that sit on top of the angle to show that it's an angle. And again, the congruency symbol. In the drawing, congruent symbols are curved if they're sitting inside as an angle, or they're going to be straight little lines that are on a side to show that sides are the same. Fast forwarding a couple of days into the future, when we start working with congruent triangles, it's easy to get overwhelmed by these symbols. But actually, it's very, very similar and easy to understand if we start applying what we just learned. We just learned about single parts that were congruent in our first example, and you can see those quickly here. So DE is equal to AB, or congruent to AB. Angle B and E are the same. And then if we just add more lines, it just means that those parts that have the matching number of lines are the same. So DF equals AC, FE equals CB because of the 3 lines that are the same, and the same inside with the angles. So we match up the number of lines or symbols in the angles to show that parts are congruent. Take a moment now to try to label all the angles and all of the sides using good notation, and check your work against mine. Pause the video. If you did it correctly, you should have ended up with something like this. AB congruent with DE, AC to DF, CB to FE, and with the angles B is equal to E, A is congruent to D, and C is congruent with F. And just make sure you've got the correct symbols, because when we do different types of work, you get marks for your correct notation. That's all there is to it. I hope you understand the concept of congruence and how to see congruence in diagrams that are labeled. Good luck.